Hey man, aren't you down with for our cause?
Nah, man, you need to get out of here with that.
What are you saying?
Nah, man, we got nothing but mutant love up in here. So yeah, take a hike, buddy. Hey, Brian, welcome back.
Hey buddy, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. Busy with all those celebrity signings going on, doing your videos of that. That must have been fun.
Look at you.
Who's the man? Who's the man?
Who's the man?
So, next signing, Austin St. John coming up, 2-3 weeks. I know you're going to be there to take care of that one.
Yes, sir.
And coming out of Fresno, California, too, no doubt.
Hey!
Finally we get something that's not a negative spin.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you get to be a part of it as well.
Oh, thank you, my
Yeah,
friend.
your videos have been on point.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your help.
But it's been a while since we talked about comics, and I think your channel is called Comic Talk.
That it is.
So I think we need to start talking about comics again.
All right, yay!
If I'm not mistaken, we last left off saying we were going to talk about the X-Men. So let's jump into it. The Holy Grail.
Yeah, talk about a hot book right now. That's really gone up in price.
The interesting thing about this book, though, for the longest time, it was very undervalued. Nobody seemed to really care. If you've ever read any of the original X-Men, the stories weren't very good, I hate to say. You had maybe the first 10 or 12 issues that were actually any good, and then I think they just ran out of ideas. Things kind of took a nosedive pretty quick. But early on they had some good issues. Probably one of the big ones now, especially with the cinematic universe and the TV shows going on. That was the introduction of, where is she? Scarlet Witch. And if you notice, she's got a green costume.
Yeah!
Yeah, this is the first Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Anybody that's watched even the early X-Men movies will recognize Toad, Mastermind, Quicksilver against Scarlet Witch.
A great cover.
So yeah, early on they developed the characters and villains that we know of today. Juggernaut came out early on. The Sentinels came out in issue number 14 and 15, and so on. But again, after time, they just kind of ran out of stories. Book got real stale. So one that I thought I'd show. This is actually the end of the title,
Oh, really?
per se.
Okay.
66 was the last issue of the original X-Men.
Huh.
I mean, they went out with a bang. They're fighting the Hulk.
You know it.
Yeah, great cover. But yeah, the book sales just weren't there, so they somewhat canceled the title. From 67, all they did was they reprinted the older issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to talk to one of the old timers that's still out there and find out why they continued on with reprints and not just canceled the book, because I don't have an answer for that.
That's a good question.
'Cause typically, a book would just get canceled, like the Hulk,
Right.
which was Marvel's first failure. I hate to say failure because that's such a big book right now, but back then nobody was buying the book.
Right.
So they went 6 issues and done. And then we didn't see the Hulk back again until Tales to Astonish. I mean, he did some little snippets here and there in the Fantastic Four and Journey into Mystery, but yeah, for the most part he was done.
Yep.
So yeah, they went on 67 all the way up to issue 93 were just reprints. They changed the covers as far as color. Maybe there's a different color on the cover to identify it.
Right.
And there's a really short backup story. So there was some original content. Maybe that's why they kept it going, rather than just doing a straight up reprint book like Marvel Tales or something like that.
Right. My favorite cover of that early run is that number 50 with Polaris.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, I was going to mention some of those. Marvel knew the book was in trouble, so they brought on Jim Steranko to do a few issues, and still, not enough. So then they brought in Neil Adams, who, he was the man at the time.
Right.
Like he was the golden boy. Anything he touched was gonna sell, and it did. When he took over, he sold a lot of books, but not enough to keep the title going. So, needless to say, ended up getting pseudo canceled. It wasn't until fall of 1975 that we see this guy.
Dun 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 dun. Yeah.
It's probably the second holy grail of the Bronze Age. All thanks to Len Wein and Dave Cockrum. They decided to take a chance and revive a dead property, and boy did they.
Boy.
And a little bit of spoiler, if anybody hasn't read this book that's been out since 1975, I guess they kind of played on how weak the original team was, because the story goes they're captured by an island. The island turns out to be a living mutant itself. And if you're reading any of the new X-Men, you already know what the whole story is.
Yes.
And Professor X needs to assemble a brand new team to go save those losers because they got caught by an island. And they've got some great characters that came out, and I guess they, still, I wouldn't say towards the end, but deep in the heart of the civil rights movement, I guess they wanted to show a little bit of diversity.
Sure.
You got Storm, who is from Africa, Colossus from Russia, Nightcrawler's from Germany, and of course, real small, they have the Native American Thunderbird down there. And of course, then they brought in the Canadian Wolverine. And this is not his first appearance.
No.
It's the first appearance of all the rest of the new characters. This is his third appearance. Yes, because Hulk 180 is officially his first appearance.
That's correct. But interestingly enough, not considered the big one.
No, not at all. But we'll get to that later. So yeah, this really revitalized the X-Men. Having the new team and the diversity and just the different personalities kind of springboarded the franchise into the modern era. Because again, the old stuff was really dated. Which then led them to bring back the original series. Like I said, 67 through 93 were nothing but reprints. Giant Size X-Men #1 was such a big hit that they decided, hey, let's bring back original X-Men stories, and they did it with 94. I'm a little biased. I think this book failed. If you've ever read it, it's not a good story.
Really? I've never had the chance.
I mean, the characters are cool. I like the new team.
Right.
Because they really show how new they are. And all their different personalities, they don't mesh well.
Okay.
They're still trying to figure it out. I was just never a fan of Count Nefaria. So I think, you're trying to debut this nice, cool team, flashy, and you go after Count Nefaria? Come on, do something better. Why couldn't they have met the Juggernaut or something?
Ooh, yeah.
Or Magneto the first time around.
And coming back, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Count Nefaria. We don't see Magneto facing the new team until issue 104.
I see you have a special something or other there.
Yeah, we can go back to Wolverine since we're kind of still on top of Wolverine. That is Wolverine's first appearance.
Dun 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 dun!
Or first appearance, his first full appearance.
One of the holy grails.
That is the holy grail of the Bronze Age.
Man. And a 9.0. Look at you.
White pages.
Think you're a comic book collector or something.
A little bit. So getting back to the X-Men, if you want to get a little deep into the thought process, over time the characters kind of evolved into being equated to minorities and racism, or just intolerance by the majority. We hear about it a lot now, but it really started off with Chris Claremont when he took over as writer. He had the idea of doing this story called God Love Man Kills, which was an original graphic novel, meaning it came out in larger book format, didn't appear in single comics until very recently they reprinted them into single issue comics. But really he kicked off the story of humankind being afraid of mutants and hating mutants for what they are, being born different. And the government was pushing for a Mutant Registration Act, where all mutants had to register with the government so that basically they could be tracked. Sounds kind of similar to Nazi Germany.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But great writing, and what a great idea to associate that team with, being so different than everybody else.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, that theme didn't come out till much later. I mean, I've seen interviews where Stan Lee claims that was his intent when he started off, but it just evolved into that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's how people are gonna be. They're gonna be like, yeah, that was me. I did that. But the reality was, yeah, that didn't come out till much later. So yeah, props to Chris Claremont, Cockrum, John Byrne for really springboarding the title. And speaking of John Byrne, I'm sure you've heard of the Days of Future Past comic.
Definitely.
If you can find a copy of that, I highly recommend reading it. It's a two-part story, X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 141 and 142. That's a future story of what happens when government gets out of control with their Mutant Registration Act. Again, spoiler, even though the book's been out since the early 80s.
Yeah.
They reprogram the Sentinels to hunt down and kill not just mutants, any superhero, all superheroes. So yeah, it becomes very dystopian. They're just hunting and killing everybody. Some mutants that have psychic ability are being turned into basically hunting dogs. They're branded. The government's using them to hunt down other mutants, and they're just killing them. Again, sounds kind of familiar, but very important. I mean, as sad as a story like that is, I think people need sometimes a reminder so that hopefully it doesn't get repeated again.
Yeah.
But yeah, very deep and moving stuff.
So, good stuff. Thank you, as always, Derek, for these wonderful talks that we can share with our community. And we're going to take a little bit of a hiatus from doing this for a few weeks. What are you guys going to be doing during that?
Well, I kind of mentioned a little bit that we've got Austin St. John, the original Red Ranger, coming in doing a signing middle of July. You're going to be on hand to help video that, so the fans can keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a fun one.
Yes, it is.
I'm taking a trip out to Texas to meet up with David Yost, the original Blue Ranger, who we've had signing here before. He's going to be signing at my friend's shop, Unknown Comic Books, in Amarillo, Texas. So we're going to go out there and give him a hand. All kinds of stuff. I'm still planning on who the next celebrity or guest signer is going to be. Got some stuff in the works. Don't want to say it too soon just in case it doesn't come through. But
Sure.
We're always working on new and exciting stuff.